Hi, it's Jen, and welcome to my channel. And on my channel, I talk about personal growth and neuroscience. And today I'm excited to be talking to Gina because Gina is an Ayurveda expert. And I have been learning a bit about Ayurveda recently, and I definitely want to talk about it more on my channel. And I thought, what better way to do it than to introduce you with the foundations of Ayurveda with Gina.
Hi everybody, I'm Gina. I'm not an Ayurvedic expert, but that was very kind of Jen. She's amazing. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner, however, but I will always be a student of Ayurveda. So a little bit about Ayurveda. It's a 7,000-year-old ancient Indian medical practice. What ended up happening is that thousands and thousands of years ago, there were these texts called the Vedas that were written. There's 4 of them. And it's complete science descriptions. There's calculus, astrology, and you've probably heard of something maybe called Vedic astrology, where you give an astrologer your time of birth. They sit there and they're able to calculate what's happening in your life, right? You've heard this saying, it's written in your stars. Well, Ayurveda says the same thing. It's written in your DNA. So there's things that we're able to determine about the type of person that you're sitting in front of. And you're able to understand what health problems they're at risk for, what health problems they're currently undergoing, or what even health problems they had younger in life. So a little bit about that is that Ayurveda looks at, it's an ancient Indian medical practice that its aim is to prevent, cure, and maintain a healthy, balanced lifestyle. So this is done through diet, exercise, your profession even, and mindset. So everything's taken into account at once and everything's put together. We come up with a way for you to live happily and balanced. And just to talk a little bit more about that, we describe people as 3 different energies and then combinations of those. So there's 5 elements in the world that we see in nature and within humans. We have space, air, fire, water and earth. So we've got the 5 elements. And then from there, we look at that and we categorize them as the type of people. So air and space would be Vata. It's called V-A-T-A. We got the 5 elements in nature. We've got earth, which is the bedrock. We've got water, which is the water that we see. Fire is really just sunlight energy or the transformation of that. So you look at a plant is going to absorb its food through the sunlight. It gets its energy from the sunlight. So it takes that sunlight energy and it transforms it into glucose, into sugar, so that it has energy to survive. Then we've got air, which is the different kind of elements we have, like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, so on and so forth, and space, the place in which all matter exists. And we also have that inside of our body, I have that little thing there in the corner, and then the earth inside of our body, cell membrane, structure of the body, bones, etc. Then we have water inside the body. That's also cohesion within the cells. You can't take 2 pieces of dry paper and stick them together, but you can stick a piece of wet paper onto another piece of paper and they'll stick together. And then fire inside the body. That's where people are like, I don't understand what that even is. So fire inside the body is the chemical and enzymes that assist in transformation. So for example, we have to transform food into chyme, and then that, we ingest as feces, and that's done with chemical enzymes in the stomach. But just as much as we're taking information in order to turn that information into knowledge, it requires chemical enzymes in the brain to understand what's happening. So, and then air inside the body, right? We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. And then again, space. Wherever there's space, there's air. Nothing can exist without space. And you see here this big circle. This basically represents space. We've got water, we've got earth, we've got fire and air, and then it's encompassed by space. So talks about how Ayurveda was discovered. I briefly touched on that. We just compared nature to the cycles of human life. And if you look at a woman, they usually have their menstrual cycle in sync with the moon. At the full moon, women are usually ovulating, and then by the new moon, they've already completely cleansed their uterine lining, and they are now rebuilding a new uterine lining. So it's pretty interesting, right? It's like in with the new, out with the old, and that's kind of what's happening to a woman in their uterus. And so we were able to look at this 7,000 years ago and then figure that, hey, like these human beings are also part of nature. So that's important to understand. So I'm going to skip this. We talked about the 5 senses, but we're going to talk about the doshas. So doshas are basically an energy. I'm going to stop the share really quick just to talk about it. There's these 3 types of energies. I talked about the 5 elements briefly. And we have these energies that literally dominate everything. It dominates you, it dominates me, it dominates the foods you eat, it dominates the items that you have in your room, like the hardwood floor. It's going to be dominated by a dosha, by this energy. Time of day and season are also dominated by this type of energy. And so let's talk a little bit more about the energy. So let me pull the slides back up. So every person has a specific amount of each element within them. So everyone has all 5 elements. Some just have more than others. Another thing that's really cool is that there's actually some people out there that have a consistent amount across the board. So these people we'll talk about later. You'll understand what type of dosha they are. But yeah, it determines what's happening inside the body. So if we look at it, the first one we see here is Vata. Vata is primarily space and air. So we'll go into the qualities of that in a minute. Somebody, or the energy of Pitta, is predominantly fire and water. And then predominantly Kapha people, the qualities of them are water and earth. So we've got the 3 doshas over here, and it explains what elements are predominant for that. And then we look at the 7 combinations of the doshas that each one of us consists of. So we have some people that are just Kapha. They predominantly have earth and water. There's some people who are just Pitta. They predominantly have fire and water. Some people that are just Vata. They predominantly have air and space. But then we've got combos. We've got Kapha Pitta, so they're the ones that have water, earth, and fire, or Pitta Kapha. We've got Pitta Vata and Vata Pitta, which these are the people that predominantly have fire, air, and space. And then we've got Vata Kapha or Kapha Vata, which are the people that predominantly have water, earth, air, and space. And then we've got the tridoshic people. So these are the people that have all of the 5 elements that are in an equal amount across the board. So the first one we're going to talk about is Kapha. That's our earth and water dosha, the earth and water energy. So they're sturdy, they're strong, they're heavy, unctuous, oily, grounded, calm. They tend toward attachment. They also can be a little lazy. So if you think about it, like a rock doesn't really want to move in nature. So you can think about a person who might be have excessive kapha or just kapha by nature, and they might be your typical couch potato. I'm definitely kapha by nature. They have a great memory. So they're slow to learn, but they remember forever. So they have the memory of an elephant. So you can think of an elephant. An elephant walks through nature. I mean, they can also stampede pretty quickly, but they usually, when they're very calm, walk very slow. And they're also broader. Elephants are broader, but they have great memory. So this is a great way to kind of understand what a kapha energy is. They're typically quiet, though I'm a very talkative kapha. And typical health concerns that they come into are obesity, diabetes, respiratory problems, and heart disease, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like usually when if kaphas tend to be a little lazy, it's likely that they're not going to want to exercise. It's likely that they're going to maybe favor foods that are a little heavy, like fried foods. I know I'm like a huge fan of heavy fried foods. And then from there, I know if I don't work out at all, I do gain weight very easily, and it's very hard for me to keep the weight off. So yeah, I can come into things like obesity. Then from there, with obesity, we know comes diabetes. We know that also heart problems happen from that. Yeah, and the respiratory problem is usually just from excessive mucus, because they are so oily and unctuous. They just are always having this extra mucus. So their joints are usually pretty well knit, stable, and healthy because they're lubricated. But you know, we have to keep a little fire under the kapha's butts. So pittas are fire and water. They're usually medium in weight. They're red or yellowish in color. So if you remember me saying before, I was born jaundice, which means my skin was yellow. So I was actually having a liver problem. Your liver is a pitta organ. It's directly correlated with your skin. So you know, kaphas will tend to have like rosy cheeks, or if their skin is yellow, that means there might be something going on with their liver. or the yelling of their eyes, also a sign that something could be going on with their liver. They're controlling. These are the ones that make the best bosses because they're so organized and on top of everything. They're the perfectionists of the group. They're sharp, they're intelligent, they like to be challenged, they like to challenge others. These are the skeptical people. They tend toward competitiveness. They can be impatient. They will get frustrated easily. These are the road rage people. These are the people that you don't want to step on their toes in the subway, because if they're getting to work and you're in their way, you will not be on their favorite list of people. They're very active, determined, and typical health problems they come into are things around acidity. So like gout, acid reflux, any kind of inflammation, skin problems, eye problems, high blood pressure, strokes, things like that. So it's really important to keep a Pitta really calm, to still keep them sharp and intellectual, but try to keep them away from any kind of frustration. Then we've got Vatas, the air and space quality. They're light and fast. They're impulsive. They tend to have dry hair, dry skin, dry nails. They tend to be pretty small in frame and long. They're quickly changing, quickly moving. They're very creative, pretty spiritual. They can be pretty forgetful, airy. There's a joke, an Ayurvedic joke. There's a room full of people and someone tells a joke. The first one to laugh is a Vata. A Vata is the first one to laugh. The second one to laugh is a Pitta. The third one to laugh is a Kapha, and then the Vata says, wait, I don't get it. Because they're so impulsive, they're so quick to laugh at a joke, and then they'll say, wait a minute, I don't get it. So if you know those people, those might be your Vata type people. My mother's like that. She is so cute and impulsive and very talkative. That takes me to my next quality of Vata. Very, very talkative. I take that trait from my mother. I may not be very Vata, but I do carry on some traits from my mother. So they tend to have excessive gas and constipation due to the excessive air in their body, which ends up drying out all the liquid. So, they tend to have the health problems that they come into are arthritis, colon problems, and neurological problems. So almost as severe as Parkinson's. These are the people who tend to be having a severe Vata imbalance. So these are the qualities. And then I start to talk about how the qualities don't just stop there. They literally dominate everything. But I think that's where I'm going to cut out for today on that topic. It's so much. Ayurveda is so informational. There's just so much to talk about.
Yeah. It was awesome. I hope this gives a good foundation for people who are watching this, who wanted to know more about Ayurveda. And definitely comment below if you have any questions, because Gina will be back and she can help answer any questions or confusion you might have about things, because it's a science and there's a lot to it. So there's definitely a lot to learn.
Definitely. It's a pretty awesome science that explains almost everything.
Yeah, and so Gina, what are some ways to work with you?
Okay, so I am a private yoga instructor. I have my own business. It's called Yoga Veda Health and Healing. You can visit me at yogavedahealth.com just to go see what services I offer. I offer Ayurvedic services. You can schedule a consultation with me. Also, I teach workshops around New York City. I also travel upstate to New York and hopefully going to branch out to other states. And this upcoming summer, I have a retreat. So if you're interested in learning more about Ayurveda, we're going to talk about the introduction to Ayurveda, what is Ayurveda. So we'll go into more depth than what I went into today. We'll talk about Ayurvedic yoga, so how you can take yoga and bring that into your Ayurvedic life. We're going to have an Ayurvedic cooking workshop accompanied by my friend Suchita Kuthari, also known as Mrs. Holistic on Instagram. And then I'm also going to be, another workshop that we're teaching at this retreat this summer is healing through the five senses. So we'll be learning how to use aromatherapy, touch therapy, color therapy, things like that to help us heal through our senses. There will be a chakra meditation, daily yoga, lodging, food, everything's included. That's in upstate New York, in Walden, New York. So upstate from the city. It's not that far from the city. It's about 60 miles north of the city. But yeah, if you have any questions, everything is listed there on the website. I'll show you quickly. Here it is. This is where we'll be. This is right here is the beautiful retreat center or ashram that it's at. And the addresses here are located on the bottom. And then here's some more information about it. And when you come to my website, this is what you'll see. You'll read about my friend Suchita, who's amazing at cooking. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner as well. You can read a little bit more about myself. And then the prices are included there at the bottom. And then you can always contact us for more information.
Amazing. Yeah, and I'll put both of Gina's links in the comments below or in the description below, as well as any other ways to find her. So
thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me, Jen. You're so awesome.
Thank you. This was so awesome.
You're spreading the wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
We need more people like you.
Thank you. All right. So we'll say bye.
Bye.